Imagine being a hard-working single black dad just trying to keep your job. Then one night, your drunk boss passes out in your passenger seat tent the next morning. Everything in your life turns upside down. From shocking secrets to impossible decisions, this story will keep you breathless. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more heart-pounding, emotional real-life twists that will leave you speechless. This one? You won't believe how Malik Carter never had time for parties. A 38-year-old single dad from Baltimore. His life revolved around his 10-year-old daughter, Zoe, and keeping his job at the high-end luxury home design firm West and Alder. He worked hard, stayed late, never complained even when the job often treated him like he was invisible. Malik wasn't just the only black man in the entire company, he was also the only employee who doubled as a janitor, deliverman, and sometimes tech support. But tonight was the company's annual party, and for once he'd been invited not to celebrate, but to serve as the designated driver for the executives. He accepted because overtime meant groceries. Malik wore his cleanest button-up and kept his smile fixed, pouring wine, cleaning spilled drinks, and subtly pushing people's keys into his pocket as they stumbled toward the exits. That's when he noticed her Genevieve Langston, the new CEO, barely 6 months into the role, standing in a corner looking lost, her usually fierce confidence soaked in vodka. At 41, with her icy blonde hair and sharp cheekbones, Genevieve was known for making million-dollar decisions with a glance, but now she was slurring her words, eyes glassy, barely standing. "You okay, Ms. Langston?" Malik asked gently, steadying her. "You're Malik, right?" she said, blinking slowly. "You've single quotes, re... ... He nodded. "Come on," he said, guiding her to his truck. "Let's get you home safe." She nodded, leaned against his shoulder, and passed out 5 minutes into the drive. He followed the GPS to her luxury condo in the waterfront district, carried her inside with shaking arms, and laid her on the velvet couch. But just as he turned to leave, a framed photo on the shelf caught his eye. A toddler, no more than 2, with tight curls and brown skin that looked eerily familiar. Zoe's face flashed in his mind. His hands trembled. It couldn't be, could it? The next morning, Genevieve woke to the smell of coffee and the sight of Malik sitting silently on the armchair. She blinked, groaned, then sat up sharply. "What the hell?" she rasped. "You passed out. I brought you home," he said quietly, "and I saw the photo on the shelf." Her face went pale, then red. She stood. "That's none of your business. That little boy in the photo, he looks just like my daughter did at that age." She froze. "That's not possible, isn't it?" Kay said, standing. "You remember a conference in Atlanta 11 years ago? You were still a VP. I was working night shift at the hotel. We stop?" Her voice cracked. "We were drunk. It was one night, and you never told me," he said, pain bleeding into his voice. Genevieve's hands shook. "I didn't know how to find you, not even know your last name. I didn't even think." She trailed off. Malik reached into his wallet, pulling out a picture of Zoe. "This is my daughter. She's 10. Her birthday is September 18th. Genevieve looked like she might faint. "That's Elijah's birthday," she whispered. "My son's." For a moment, silence stretched like glass between them. Then the room shattered with emotion. "Why?" Malik demanded. "Why didn't you try? Didn't I deserve to know?" "I was terrified," she whispered. "A black man from a hotel. I didn't think anyone would believe me. I was rising in my career. It was easier to tell myself you didn't matter." That crushed him. But instead of yelling, he said softly, "I mattered to him." The weight of those words brought Genevieve to tears. "I want to meet him," Malik said. "I want to know my son." But Genevieve hesitated. "Malik, there's something else. Elijah doesn't know I'm his real mom. He's being raised by my sister. The room went still again. You what? Genevieve unraveled the whole twisted truth. After their night together, she discovered she was pregnant but couldn't afford the scandal. Her sister Caroline, who was married and unable to have kids, agreed to raise Elijah as her own. Legally, he was hers. Genevieve visited often as Aunt Jen, but she'd never told the boy the truth. "So you hid him from both his parents?" Malik asked, incredulous. "He's not a thing to hide. He's a child who's been lied to." Genevieve sat down, defeated. "You're right. I ruined everything." Malik stood. "No, not everything. I'm going to fight for him." Over the next few weeks, Malik hired a lawyer, gathered proof, and even took a quiet DNA test. Zoe didn't understand why her dad was suddenly traveling so much, looking haunted. She only knew that he came back late, sometimes with tears in his eyes. Malik met Elijah one afternoon at the park, pretending to be just another dad. And the way the boy laughed at his jokes, the way he tilted his head, there was no denying it. Elijah was his. Meanwhile, Genevieve's secret began to crack. Carolyn found out Malik was snooping and threatened to take him to court for harassment. But the DNA test changed everything. Carolyn, furious, told Elijah the truth in a cruel burst of rage. The boy broke. Genevieve tried to mend things, but Elijah ran away. Malik found him hours later, hiding at the old waterfront pier. "Are you really my dad?" Elijah asked, eyes wide with tears. Malik knelt, holding out his arms. "I'm not perfect, son, but I'm yours, if you'll have me." Elijah fell into his arms, crying. That was the beginning of something new, but it came with more news of the scandal broke in the media weeks later. CEO hides love child with former janitor, screamed the tabloids. Genevieve was suspended. Shareholders panicked. Her world began to crumble. But Malik's was just beginning to heal. He got full custody after a tense legal battle. Carolyn had forged documents and lied under oath. But now, with both Zoe and Elijah under his roof, Malik's humble two-bedroom apartment was filled with laughter and chaos. The kids bonded slowly, Zoe teaching Elijah how to paint, Elijah teaching her how to build model cars. As for Genevieve, she didn't disappear. Humbled and jobless, she showed up every weekend. At first, Malik didn't want her around, but Elijah begged him, so she stayed. She cleaned, cooked, apologized. Over time, they rebuilt something fragile. And when Malik got promoted his boss, impressed by his leadership under pressure, he used the extra income to buy a bigger house, one with a backyard and enough bedrooms for both kids and a home office. Genevieve began working at a nonprofit, rebuilding her life from scratch. One night, as Malik tucked Elijah in, the boy whispered, "I'm glad you drove her home that night." Malik smiled. "Me too, buddy. Me too." He looked out the window, watching Genevieve and Zoe laugh in the backyard under the stars. One decision, one drive, one truth. It changed everything. Because sometimes the road you take leads you to the family you didn't know you were missing.